Okay, so we are live now on YouTube, and then I believe our subscribers will be watching us at this time. All right, I want to welcome you guys to this. Wait, I think this thing is this thing is wait, I'm having an echo. I think this thing is. Oh gosh. All right, so this is okay right now. So can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right, so I want to welcome you guys to this podcast event. I want to welcome today we're having two distinguished people in our conversation today. Um, Both of them are NIU alumni, and one person is in the public sector. The name is Brian Joannis. He's the assistant village administrator at the village of Roselle. And then we have another distinguished scholar, um, Isaiah Chukwudi Samuel. He's a political scientist and an NIU graduate. And he's also a Nigerian, but based in this US. So I'm happy to have both of you. So Brian, can you say hi to the audience?
Hello. It's good to be here. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So
Okay. Isaiah, can you say hi to the audience?
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm very, very excited. Thank you for having me, Stanley.
Yeah, so today we are celebrating the US Independence Day, and we are looking forward to have some conversation around the significance of what this is all about, and then we delve deeper into the um, career trajectory of our speakers today, and equally have some conversation on how we the connection between the international students and some of our friends here in the US, some of our white friends in the US. So, without wasting of any time, I have to start with Brian. So, Brian, please, what does this 4th of July mean to you personally and professionally as an American public servant?
yeah, it's a good question. And I would say personally it's a time to celebrate, right? There's a lot of kind of focus around family and community on this day, kind of reflecting of, the beginning of America as a country. Um, Not just the signing of the Declaration of Independence, but the ideals that kind of laid the foundation for democracy that we kind of see today. So it's a reminder of kind of freedom, the opportunity that we have as Americans, and we usually celebrate that, taking time to be with loved ones. The ideals that kind of and laid the foundation for democracy. I think you're kind of see today. So it's a reminder of kind of freedom. You might have to mute the YouTube stream.
Yeah, I just muted it right now. Yeah, continue.
And that's me wearing my IT hat at work. There's been plenty of public meetings that have echoed.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, and then professionally, like I've been in the public sector now for 7 years this month, actually. So it's kind of amazing to work in an industry that is really the core and I would say the backbone of local government across the country to support the original ideals of the Declaration of Independence, of the colonies breaking away from British rule so long ago. So for me personally, it's it's a great time to meet with family, to recognize the opportunity as Americans we get to be free. But it's also professionally now I get to connect the dots a little bit more intimately and kind of remind myself of where we came from, but also where we need to go, right? I would say it's still a work in progress. So that's that would be my response.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for that. I mean, it's I would say in my own view, I would say it's a time of recreation, reconnecting, and then having more time with your family and celebrating with friends and everything. So thank you for that insight. All right, so Isaiah, I come to you. So as a political scientist from Nigeria and now you are in the US, how would you describe your first experience of the US Independence Day?
Well, my first US Independence Day was both fascinating and thought-provoking. Fascinating in the sense that where we are coming from, the the celebration of independence has dwindled as a result of protracted or many years of political disappointment from our political leaders. And here in the US, the independence celebration is grassroots based. Why in Nigeria, the independence celebration is from the federal level. You see the federal level trying to organize ceremonies across all the state levels, not necessarily the people being interested in the celebration, because most of the times, every independence in recent times, people feel like they are very, very disappointed. People are apolitical. People are not actually interested in the Nigeria Independence Day celebration. But here in the United States, I see it's like beyond the fireworks, the festivities. It's an opportunity for them to actually look backward into their founding ideals, such as the liberty and democratic value. And it's also an opportunity to actually champion civic consciousness towards how to strengthen the institutions and the democratic values that was laid down during the Revolutionary War that led to the independence of the United States.
Thank you for that insight. That was apt. Okay, so Brian, can you give us a little, like a brief, not an in-depth anyway, but a brief historical background of Independence Day and why it is so important to the United States?
Yeah, I would say, it's a lot of what Isaiah just mentioned, but pretty much back in, 1776, you had 13 colonies that were kind of frustrated being under British rule, right? One of the largest superpowers of the world at the time. And they were frustrated over taxation and unequal representation. So kind of what Isaiah mentioned is that you had rulers that lived not only, hundreds of miles away in another land, but also had that kind of power trickle over to people that were dealing with local issues and could not have a voice into how they were being represented, how the structure of their government was being formed, and then the consequences of that structure. So you had 13 colonies come together. Thomas Jefferson was one of the main contributors to the Declaration of Independence. And kind of from that point, that document executed a new path forward for a company or for a country that could allow people, no matter their background, no matter where they came from, representation on the local level. There's a lot of layers to that. I think, one, I'm not a historian. Obviously, there's been significant hardships through that process of becoming free. But the overall, I would just say the rupture that began as a Revolutionary War laid the groundwork and the foundation for, really us to be able to speak today, right? To be able to speak freely. So I would say, like, from a public service perspective, it's again kind of a reflection of kind of where we came from, but where we should be going to. So it's kind of a moving milestone and a day to reflect on, not just from 1776 when this important document was signed and executed, but also today how far have we come? What are the challenges? What are the areas and the gaps that still remain? Because no structure is perfect, right? So yeah, that's a little bit of, I would say, background.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So Isaiah, so can you explain a little bit, kind of make a little comparative analysis on how Independence Day in the US is celebrated and also that of Nigeria? Can you like just kind of make a comparative analysis of independence in US and independence in Nigeria, both historically and culturally?
So ideally, Independence Day anywhere in the world is celebrated, like is celebratory. However, when you pay attention critically at the US and Nigeria ways of celebrating independence, there is a kind of dichotomy in the sense that the US is more celebratory. You see the festive, people are well engaged, family come together to celebrate. But in Nigeria, it is more reflective and formal. Beyond the military parades, the ceremony, getting students from public school come to public fields to do march parades, people tend to ask some critical questions around nation building. How can we move this nation forward? So in Nigeria, people are becoming cautious. The Independence Day is an opportunity to actually reflect. It seems like we have not been able to maintain the independence because we got independent on a platter of gold, unlike the US, where they got it by war. And because they got it by war, it seems like they take the independence seriously by laying a better foundation. But unlike in Nigeria, instead of laying a better foundation, the division around ethnic lines and religious lines has affected the progress of the country. And this has also led to civil war just few years, like 3 years after the independence, which has set back the country progress. And as a result, and there's a current case of insecurity, corruption, even though I don't want to say it because educational Africa is a global platform, but I think like all the United States independence celebration is more celebratory. People are enthusiastic about it. People are excited about it. But in Nigeria, the populace or the citizens are not enthusiastic. They are not they are reflecting. You see that Independence Day is an opportunity for them to reflect on what to do, how to actually take the country forward.
Yeah.
In
Thank you so much for
Nigeria,
that.
I'm sorry for in Nigeria too, like independence happened much later, right? Like we're talking
Yes,
1950s, 1960s.
yes. Yeah, Nigerian independence happened in 1960, 1st October, and so we
Yeah.
celebrate all our own every 1st of October, 1960. I mean,
But
of
unlike
every,
yours, even though we were all colonized by the British, uh,
yeah,
unlike the US, we in our own case, the power transfer was transitional in the sense that it was through a peaceful transfer of power. And the US, it seems like they took the bull by the horn to actually get this independent by themselves through the then 13 colonies. And this has actually, this shaped like the foundation of the independence from the confederal nature where, before now, they had a loose federation known as confederalism in the United States, where the 13 colonies come together to form the United States, but the central government was not as powerful as it should be because they were consigned up among the component units on the central government having domineering power. But at some point in time, we had this federal structure that has actually bettered what we have today. But in Nigeria, we started with a kind of, although it was like a regional government, but the center was so powerful, and we had we had a unicameral legislature, one central legislature, but the regional government also had their own state regional assemblies.
yes. Chukwudi, you have just shown that you are a political scientist, and I love that. I love that analysis. It's kind of gives us a little bit in-depth view of what we're talking about. Okay, so Brian, so how does this Independence Day, how is it celebrated typically in local communities like, let's say, like Village of Roselle? I mean, how do they celebrate it? Is there any special event or it's just passive, just like that? So how is it celebrated at local communities?
Yeah, so we typically do a fireworks show on the 3rd of July, but the 4th of July we close down Village Hall, right? So all
Yeah,
non-shift personnel have the day off to spend with their family. But a lot of that was kind of is a reflection of just like government's position and reflecting the same ideals that people like myself as a civilian get to celebrate. So it typically involves um, like a fireworks show with food trucks and a band just to bring the community together. We're pretty kind of fortunate this year too. I don't know how much turnout we had compared to last year's events yesterday, but a lot of other communities have kind of canceled fireworks shows in the region. So we were kind of anticipating maybe even more celebration like across borders of different communities as well, right? So I think again, it's just like a resemblance of like bringing people together to celebrate their rights and their freedom, um, and to kind of I would say get more personable with each other. To me, that's the goal of today. I'm big on relationships, and I think that this is just kind of a very good pointed day to focus on and reflect like who you are as a person, how you reflect the country or where you're from, the conversations that you have, the people that you're with and you surround yourself with. So really, this is a day of reflection for me. So later, when we're all celebrating, you'll probably find me kind of off in
yeah,
the distance, kind of reflecting, kind of just sitting alone maybe, or just in my head a lot, just because it's a good focal point. It's just a good holiday to kind of bring yourself more present in the moment, kind of drop all work responsibilities, all other responsibilities in your life, and just think more broadly about like how special it is to be in a place that gives you the opportunity to enjoy simple things in life, right? That often can be easily taken for granted.
wow, that's really nice. I'm very happy that today we're going to be at your place today to have some party with you together. Yeah. Yeah, so when you talked about fireworks, I yesterday like last night I saw a lot of fireworks happening everywhere here in the Carib, and I was like, wow. So it kind of gave me a picture of Christmas period in Nigeria. Mostly we do these fireworks during Christmas, but I don't think Chooks, do you think we normally do fireworks during Independence Day in
Like I
Nigeria?
said, Independence Day is not, here, Independence Day is grassroots based. There is
Yeah,
something like the government is actually imposing on us. Government is reminding us they need to do it. Here, the
yeah,
people are actually enthusiastic about it. They want to do
yeah,
because they have like they appreciate and value the country. This is not to say that the country doesn't have its own challenge, but we have to appreciate that America has been able to maintain their independence, unlike
yeah,
our
yeah,
country. And to be honest with you, the way Nigeria was created, it was actually bound to actually face this challenge because Nigeria is like it's a creation of British Empire. There was no Nigeria until the British tried to amalgamate Nigeria in 19, you know about the amalgamation process. And
1914, yeah,
yeah, when that amalgamation actually happened, the coming together of people of different groups. Before then, prior to colonialism, we have our unique way, like the various ethnic groups has their unique way of governance. Like if you go to the southeast, the Igbo people, they will tell you that democracy is we were democratic in nature, egalitarian, acephalous, and it is summarized in the statement Igbenweze, where people like everybody come together to actually brainstorm about the community. The Hausas is more centralized, where the emir was both the religious and traditional leader or cultural leader. And even the Yorubas, they had their own well-structured institutions. But the British came and destabilized this system force us to come together. And since then, it seems like even up to date, the government is still forcing us to come together because
Yeah.
we've not been able to find a solution on how to actually harness the diversity. Me personally, I love the fact that Nigeria is very big. My only concern about Nigeria is that we have not had leaders who have the political will to strengthen institutions that will enable us to harness the opportunities or the strength that is in our diversity. And it is also affecting, and it is also like even the citizens, especially in Nigeria now, are even worse. It seems like we are even worse. We are not more even interested. It seems like the politics now is like, let this person come, let us, when we should be talking about issue-based politics, we are talking about ethnicity, we are talking about religion. So we are still far behind in terms of nation building. So we have not gotten it right in terms of nation building. And that is where I'm concerned. We need to actually strengthen our policy. We need to actually work on our civic engagement. We need to actually ensure that the institutions would ensure accountability. Because regardless of who you are, if you come to Nigeria, if you become the president of Nigeria, there is a temptation to be corrupt because there is no strong institution. So, but when there is strong institution, you are bound to be accountable. But there is no strong institution. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to strengthen our structure, strengthen our institutions, and there's a lot we have to learn from America. So, okay, now this takes me to another question I wanted to ask you. What do you think that we as Nigerians should learn from America, from the American independence? And what do you think that America as a country can actually learn from Nigerian own independence?
Okay. I think one of the things we should learn from America is in terms of the civic responsibility. Every average American the institutions has been built in such a way that every American virtually all Americans are responsible to their country. They prioritize their country come first before any other thing else. And this has also transferred in how they actually do their daily activities. And sorry to say, but that is just the truth. The current president too is telling you American first. I don't see anything bad about that statement. If you don't prioritize your country, you don't expect a stranger to actually value it. And one of the things I'm learning from America is how they have been able to prioritize their country in everything they are doing. And the strong institution, the strong economic foundation, strong educational system, because virtually everyone in America can read and write.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
everyone can read and write. That's to tell you that the education system in America is so strong. And the thing I also like about it in America is that they encourage critical thinking, even
Yeah,
in the
sure.
educational system. Professors are not bound to actually follow a kind of a lay-down structure from an organization on how to teach. There is a kind of they teach based on what is trending. They make sure that they align with the current realities, even in their teaching.
Exactly.
You understand? So, but if you go back to Nigeria, I'm so sure that if I reread my notes, I'll still go and do well in class because my professor is likely going to teach the current student what they taught me, what they taught me 10 years ago. So I feel like we need to strengthen our educational system, just like America has strengthened their educational system. We need to actually realize that we don't have any other country outside Nigeria. Nigeria should come first in all we are doing. We should also encourage people who are trying to make sure that Nigeria is getting it right. This is not about ethnic sentiment. If you can't be thinking about Nigeria, you are ethnically biased. You are driven by clannish interest. You need to nationally driven. And you need to also understand that the responsibility, the onus or the responsibility of a good governance is also on the citizen. You need to actually question the citizen. You need to actually participate. During the election, go out there and vote. You don't just get good government by coming on social media to say the country is bad. So we have our own role to play. Just like here in America, you can see everybody's being encouraged. Everybody vote during election. So there's a lot to learn from America. And especially strong institution. Here, there is an average America is not corrupt, not because they don't want to be corrupt. They are not corrupt because the institution did not allow them to be corrupt. You understand? See, like if you see a policeman, no policeman is asking you for a bribe. But you know when a policeman tell you he is sorry, you know definitely he's sorry because you're already in a trouble. But
Yeah.
but back home, you see a policeman, you'll be asking you for money. I mean, we need to stop those kind of stuff. We need to go back to the drawing board to rethink our nation building, to reform our structures, strengthen the institutions, prioritize our country, and stop prioritizing our ethnic and personal interests.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that insight. Okay, now back to you, Brian. So Brian, you
Just
had
say
the
something really
opportunity.
quick. Can I just say something really quick? Because what Isaiah said was very, very well
Yeah,
spoken.
sure.
And like from a personal perspective, like for context, like I'm very conversational. I'm less like left brain person. And I love the kind of like the political science lens that he's putting on these questions. And for me, like listening to it, this is what I love about these types of conversations. I know there's probably questions that we're going to talk more deeper into those relational kind of things, but um, it's as an American listening to somebody articulate where they come from and their structure of government and what they learned from America. Honestly, those core things, having conversations like this make it stand out much more. For me, just being a citizen, but also in the position that I'm in and the responsibility that it holds. So I think it's fascinating to listen to what somebody else takes from their experience with this country, coming in with fresh eyes, fresh perspective. And that to me is like why America is successful. If you give people voices, and then the opportunity to be involved in the democratic process, whether they've been here for multiple generations, or whether they're here on a student visa, or whether they eventually maybe become a citizen themselves from another country. I think that is like an important thing to continuously have conversations about that, to learn about what it's like in other places that have similar or younger forms of the same governance that can lead to such rich opportunity and conversation. So I just wanted to piggyback off of that because I think like what he said, really, really opened my eyes differently to today. That's why I want you guys at this party, honestly, because I think it's important for a lot of people to hear this kind of stuff and their perspective on what they see, whether it's from our media, whether it's from our educational institutions, whether it's from internships. I think it's very valuable. So thank you, Isaiah, for just a really just well thought out response to that. And I want you to know, like, this is what I love about my job and about life, is that you can pull these things and you can learn from other people no matter where you are, and then use that and reflect on it, and then share that with the people around you, share it through your character and your actions, because I believe that that's also the perpetual kind of success that Isaiah is getting to, is how you kind of start the foundation, how you get people involved, how you create the systems, but then how do you constantly remind people, right, beyond just holidays and barbecues and fireworks. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Isaiah. Isaiah, you have really shared a lot of nice insights from this conversation today. Okay, so still on you, Brian. Yes, you had the opportunity to supervise Micah Eradiri. Micah Eradiri is one of the international students here who just finished his master's in public administration at NIU. So he did his internship under your supervision. So could you kind of share what stood out to you about Micah and your overall experience of working with him?
Yeah, I think what stood out the most is like when you meet Micah, he's a very humble, emotional, and genuine individual. So right off of the bat, I'm a pretty personable person as well. I like to establish relationships with the people that I supervise at work, but also just I'm fascinated by human behavior and just people in general. So I'm pretty chatty. And Micah was one of those people that would share things on a personal level pretty quickly. So we established a relationship pretty much off the bat. And it was very special to kind of listen and be able to ask questions about his upbringing, about why he's here, what opportunity is he looking for, just get to know an individual, meet them kind of where they're at. Um, and it was, one of the better experiences that I've had at work, 100%, and just in life. I mean, I got to know him on a personal level, and we hopefully will maintain a relationship for a long time, no matter where he is. But also on a professional level, I mean, every intern that we have at Roselle, myself included, starting, 7 years ago, we always try to meet people where they are, right? You always try to tailor that program, and that experience to the individual. And that works when you have an individual that can be open and vulnerable and share things pretty immediately, so that you can get to know them on a deeper level to then connect this amazing industry with opportunities for them to learn and grow and ultimately do what they want to do themselves. So I think just that's the big thing to me that stood out, is Mike is just huge on relationships. He established pretty personal relationships with a lot of staff at the village. And I think, that's my job, is I just kind of let him run with that, I didn't get too focused on the outputs from the analytical side or project based. I think that that's one cool thing about people is everybody's different and they all have different strengths. And being able to kind of just walk with them, enjoy life, enjoy professional and personal experiences together, and then see the relationships that he built, um, in a foreign area, DeKalb, Illinois, coming from Nigeria. It's a huge, huge shock, So I think that's what stood out to me, is just his resilience, and also just how he, while I'm sure there were subliminal or just personal things going on, just being away from family, away from familiarity, away from kind of comfort of who you know in your life, and to kind of restart that process and all of the challenges that come along with being a student and an intern, and also trying to just balance everything in your life. Micah really taught me, like, that people come first no matter what, and you spend the time with them, no matter how busy you are, no matter what's going on. If you care about people and they care about you, then you should show it through your actions. And Micah definitely reflected that through the 2 years that he was with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that insight about Micah. Micah is a great guy, and then yeah, he has really impacted in lives of a lot of people, both back home and here. And we are so proud of him. We are so proud of him, and we keep on working together to see where this ship is going to land us to. Yeah, thank you so much about that.
He's a great guy.
Okay, so Isaiah, come back to you. So now, could you walk us through yeah, I know you are an international student who just finished your political science at NIU, and uh, could you just walk us through the process? Did it just come on a platter of gold, or you just how did you find yourself here? What are the challenges you faced, or did it just come on a platter of gold? We want to know about your experiences applying to NIU and other schools probably, and how you got here.
Oh. Let me, for me, I never wanted to come to the United States. I've been applying to schools in Europe, especially UK and Germany, like for over 2 to 3 years. And most times when you come to the interviewing stage, I'll get a thank you for your effort. We had other strong candidates. And I get frustrated at some point in time and luckily one day I saw you talking about your nonprofit organization and how it has impacted lives. I decided to reach out to your inbox to tell you about my application and every other thing. you asked me to forward it to you. After reading it, he said, you think I'm a strong candidate, I should apply to here NIU. After and he asked me to rewrite an SOP, check the NIU to know if I'm qualified for it. We did that together. And he asked me to write the SOP. After writing the SOP, I sent it to you. You proofread it and reviewed it for me. And I forwarded it to, I submitted it. To be honest, NIU was the only school I applied to because I applied late. And I was very fortunate to receive admission and even funding. Like I was given graduate assistantship and funding. So before I'm sounding emotional because I'm remembering how all this thing actually happened. Remember, at some point in time, I was quite frustrated. I remember my statement when I would come to you in your inbox to disturb you about what about the admission decision. And you tell me I should wait until I grew out of my patience. And you tell me I should be coming down. I tell you this your suiting word is not suiting again. I know you still use that word because actually at that time.
The teamwork cannot suit me.
At that time, I'm tired of motivation. I'm tired of encouragement. I needed like a breakthrough. And thank you. If not because of your help, because of you telling me there is a school here at NIU, I never wanted to come to United States. United States has never been my target study destination. So, but you made it. You told me to apply it here at NIU, and since then I got the admission. I got the assistantship. And here am I.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that at least. Yeah, I remember vividly well. Chubudi will always come and say, "Wow, I'm tired. I'm tired." I said, "No, you don't get tired. You don't get tired until in fact nobody gets tired about this whole thing because I always use my personal experience to talk to people and always tell them that it wasn't easy, for me. So me, I know the process. I know how tedious it is for us applying to different schools. And you are competing with thousands of young people all over the whole world. So it's very, very competitive applying for scholarships abroad. But then, if you keep on struggling, you will get there. And that is why there's always a general saying that nothing good comes easy. So if it comes so easy, if you come here, you won't value it. That's why you see a lot of us international students, when we come here, we try we perform exceptionally because we are appreciating what we got because we didn't get it on a platter of gold. You don't just apply and you get it. You have to apply and apply and apply. So I'm happy to hear that. And then I believe that this will also motivate other young people out there who are struggling. Because even right now, as we speak, on a daily basis, I get messages just like you are sending me then. A lot of young people out there are still sending me. If you go to my inbox now, in most cases, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, I have a lot of messages unreplied. But sometimes I create time like 2 to 3 hours in a day to reply those messages. And replying those messages, I see a lot of emotional challenges that a lot of people are passing through. But I try as much as I can to try to encourage them to keep on applying. And that's why once in a while, we bring in people here to say their own experience because it wasn't easy for them. So it's not easy for anybody.
I
All right.
want to say one or two things, especially to the people who are aspiring to come to United States to study.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to tell you this, that the application is the least issue. Because when I was applying, I was thinking that was the most difficult phase of this graduate school, but it wasn't. Because NIU actually altered my sleeping pattern. It altered my behavioral pattern, my social pattern. Everything has been altered because of my experience here in NIU. You only write like 1 page or 2 page SOP. But when you finally get yourself into the system, you see yourself writing like 15 pages in a week, just in one course. You see yourself reading pages of literatures. So while you're actually applying for schools, make sure that you are ready for the breakthrough, because there is expectation, especially the standard set by most Nigerians abroad is quite high. And when you come to the system, you are expected to actually succeed. As far as you are from Nigeria, there is this expectation from you to actually succeed. And if you are coming with a mindset to just japa, quote, I'm telling you that you would be frustrated. You will not be happy to come to this place. So while you're actually making this application, make sure you're actually building yourself to be able to compete at the highest level. By
Yeah.
competition, I don't mean that you should be doing better than another person, but doing better than doing better than yourself. Like, make sure that your yesterday, if you ask Stanley, when I arrived here, one of the things he was the one that told me, Chooks, this is not the way to write email. Write it this way, this way, this way. He was from the get-go, he was introducing me to tools, he was introducing me to how to, like, he tried to refine my approach to things. Before now, when I arrived here, I couldn't even hear, like most of my professors, I don't even understand what they were saying because of the cultural differences. But I've grown into the system now that even while in my dream, if I hear my professor say anything, I know what he's saying and his expectation. Or email writing, the thing that sometimes someone like Stanley now, maybe in a day, he receives up to 100 emails from different people and he attends to them. It's a skill that is not, it's not easy. You have to learn that too. Then your research skill, if you are coming for a research program, you must be ready to invest in knowing how the rudiment of research. It's not the research here, you will do it yourself. You will not delegate it to anybody. You have to do it yourself if you are taking a research-based course. So you'll be willing to read, you'll be willing to open your eyes, you'll be willing not to sleep at 10 a.m. Like Micah now. Sorry, I'm just mentioning, I just want to expose him. If you send Micah a message by 12 a.m., he will respond to you in the next 2 minutes. I don't know how he's doing it. Most of the times.
He doesn't sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I say, does this guy sleep at all?
I've been
So,
working on that for 2.5 years now.
so I never told him this, but if you message Micah, Micah will respond to your message almost immediately. And if he doesn't respond to your message, it's something that's, it's one of the skills that he has that I look up to, like, because sometimes, you get frustrated, but you see, Micah he's even while he's frustrated, he's calm. He's calm. He doesn't allow a situation to actually take advantage of him, and he's always trying to deliver. He's stretching himself. So he's a brother. He's like a brother to me, but I wouldn't lie. He has some exceptional traits and qualities that are admirable. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that insight, and then for also bringing up that Micah as a case study. It's like this conversation today is more of revolving around Micah. Oh, well, it's always good. It's always good to stand out. When you stand out, people look up to you. So I admire Micah. Micah, wherever you are, we admire you so much. All right, so back to Brian. So Brian, you perceive the contributions of international students and probably interns, especially those from Nigeria or Africa, to local government and civic life in the US? I mean, how do you perceive their contributions in the US economy and generally?
Yeah, I think international students are an incredible demographic of people. Kind of what Isaiah was talking about, like watching people come through different challenges, take basically opportunity and accountability for themselves, watching them grow, watching them get involved in our systems and our educational platforms, in our workplaces, I think is an extraordinary contribution to not just like work, what we do 9 to 5, but also kind of how we perceive in the lens that we perceive like our issues through. So I think it was an incredible experience for me to have an international person so close to me and watch them go through a lot of these processes that Isaiah was talking about, from just explaining the application, traveling across, a large ocean to a foreign land, to land in the Midwest of another country, in kind of the cornfields of DeKalb, and to come to an urban environment more dense near one of the largest cities in the country, and watching their perspective and how they view issues and how they work through things, is extraordinarily valuable, for any practitioner. I think it's all about just kind of the open-mindedness and the willingness to learn from other people. And like I said, Micah and I had a lot of conversations, whether it was driving him from Wheaton, or helping him learn how to drive, or hanging out with him in my office, or spending time eating together, or whatever it is. Just to me, it's asking questions and just trying to understand the different layers of different perspective, because that's my job as a public servant, right? I need to meet residents where they are. I need to listen to every resident, no matter who it is, and understand that their issue is just as important as someone else, and how to culminate all that together and provide the best services possible for that community. So I think it's very fascinating to get closer to international students, and to see kind of like their outcome, like in your place of work or just in your life. For me personally, Micah's the first international student that I've ever mentored, the first international student that I've really engaged in this type of level of conversation with, in my life. I've met others, obviously being close to university, and just through social networks and things like that. But on the deeper level, I mean, it really has changed my life. It's changed my perspective on a lot of things. And like Isaiah was saying, it's made like you use these things to make yourself a better person. I think if that's, to me, that is the goal of anything. And I would expect that Micah's goal is the same thing, right? That he's, relying on me to not just like help provide, information and things that can have tangible outcomes to help him just succeed as a student and just kind of work through the process, but more so like I know Micah learned a lot from me as well, just being born in this country, but also just the type of person I am, different strengths and things that we have. So to me, it's just a relational kind of transaction that really can benefit everyone. It doesn't matter if it's in work, it doesn't matter if it's at school, it doesn't matter if it's in some group conversation. I think it's just everybody has a part to play in making people better, making them more humble people, making them more kind. And I think that just starts with just like learning from people that you may disagree with, learning from people that you don't understand, learning from people that you can't relate to on a lot of levels. Like I challenge myself every day to put myself in situations like this, because I think it's the only way you truly grow as an individual. So I'm very proud to know Micah, to know you, to get to know Isaiah, other students at NIU. Just I feel very fortunate in my position to be still connected to the same place that kind of gave me a shot. As more of a non-traditional student myself, nothing like international challenges, but I went to school later in life, and that has its own sets of challenges. So I just think these are just fantastic relationships that ultimately culminate who you are as a core individual, and ultimately should lead you to better growth, and just a better kind of just reflection of the freedom again that we get to really just meet and talk and be different and have different viewpoints, and to disagree, to agree, to protest, all these things. I mean, so international students to me is just it's another reminder of those things. And I'm very happy to be engaged in the way that I am, and hopefully that relationship still grows. I wish we had the opportunity to have like 4 interns at Roselle, where I could have other international students as well, right? I mean, it's been fascinating
Yeah.
learning Nigerian culture and everything else. And, I'm the type of person I just want to help everybody, but I know it's not feasible, or just get to know
Yeah.
everybody. But I think it's so fascinating being close to an epicenter of a university that values that type of diversity, right? And that type of introduction, and the chance for people like Isaiah, like he was saying, applying to all these different schools, landing in DeKalb, even having this discussion now, right? We're all fortunate to just be sitting here virtually talking together because, you know, a university had that type of pathway available for somebody like him. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a very rewarding experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Now, Isaiah, let's talk about Education African Scholars Global Connect. As an Edu Africa scholar, which I know you are, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think the organization in the non-profit organization is actually playing a good role in the life of young people? How do you think? Uh, what impact do you think the organization is making currently in the society? And based on your own experience, how have they supported you and supported other young people out there?
Uh, the role of educational global impact cannot be overemphasized. You people are shaping destinies, helping people to achieve their goal and purpose, especially career-wise, through education. And as one of the beneficiaries of the mentorship and the resources of this noble organization, I will tell you that your achievement is beyond even the few persons you are actually connecting with. You know, it has gone beyond, you know, before now, you know, I said I chatted you. Before now, it was built around your personality, but it's now an institution that will live beyond you. It's something that
Yeah.
if you live like, if you live, I don't want, we are being superstitious, but permit me to use it. That if you live like the days God has destined you to live, you understand, you continue living through this institution that you have built. And you know, there is always a gain in capital, like in human development. You have invested in us, and just like when you were actually doing this, he told us that the reason why you are doing this is because he wants us to actually do it to other people. You are not doing this. You are democratizing information that would help people. And you can see on my own part too, some people would, I felt privileged that someone was actually applying for scholarship. He sent the person application to me to review it. I felt very glad, and I took it very seriously to ensure that
Yeah.
I did my best to ensure that the application was well reviewed. And beyond that,
And the guy actually, I'm sorry, and the guy actually got admission, although he has not gotten funding yet. But I must
oh,
say that
oh,
the guy has been admitted. So kudos.
okay, so I didn't even know.
So
I didn't, but I knew I invested time. It took me about 3 hours to ensure that this is the first assignment you're giving me through your organization, and I have to actually pay back. And funny enough, the guy was, his career trajectory is different from what he's actually applying for. So I needed to actually make a serious argument, ensure that it was quite persuasive. And you have invested in naira, millions of naira to actually recently I see you giving the recent application. I know when you started this in Nigeria, you never envisaged a day will come when you'll be spending, when you'll be investing. When I say you, because I know some people are behind the scene actually making sure that this organization is working. When you and your team member would like invest millions of naira to see people realize their dream. On my own case, like my story, the visa application, you helped me throughout the visa application. You automatically adopted me. Immediately you realized that I'm from Nsukka and I'm from Enugu State. You open yourself to me. And beyond that, when I arrived here, I didn't have a place to go, but he assured me that I would live with you. I lived with you for like 2 months or 3 months thereabouts. I arrived here with just $300. I didn't spend that $300 throughout my 3 months. And you keep on telling me, save, save, save before you go. And recently I realized, I don't want to mention it, but I saw you also trying to extend that kind of treatment to other people who are coming, people you don't even know, by reaching out to one non-profit organization, one of the leaders of non-profit organization, trying to collaborate with them to provide residential, like a kind of resident for international students who will be coming just for a few weeks. So you people have helped advance humanity through education, and I will forever be grateful to you and everyone who has invested their resources towards the actualization of the dream of an average Africans like me. I'm not
Thank
average
you.
now, but by then I was average.
No, 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 none you are above average. You know, I
Yeah,
always say that when you get a certificate, a US certificate,
yeah.
you have really achieved. It's not a small achievement
So
because
I'm grateful. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
yeah, it's something that we are grateful to God. All right. So, okay, let me be a little bit specific with you at this time, Brian, about international students studying masters in public administration. You know, so what do you think the local government institutions in the US can gain from those of us who are international students studying masters in public or PhD in public administration? What do you think local governments stand to gain if we are given good full opportunity to perform fully and be full staff in the local government? What do you think we have to offer based on your experience with Micah?
Yeah, I would say, I've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I could talk about some other things too that I think we can gain. I mean, one, international students, like you said, because they come from different backgrounds and because they're overcoming a lot of challenges, it takes a type of resolve of most of the time for people to make that type of breakthrough in their life. So, like Isaiah was saying, for people that actually make that decision and then they're working on themselves and they have a goal in mind, whatever that is, I think it's our jobs to kind of tap into that and to allow opportunities for those students for the short time that they're with us to gain as much insight and knowledge as they can if they're interested in public service, right? Because ultimately, my goal is to get somebody a job. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Micah, um, with the fellowship through our international association, Ashton Stipp, the intern before us, is now in Plainfield in the village administrator's office. I myself now am in this position. So I think what we can gain is kind of like looking back and just helping the next person create the same opportunity for the next person, no matter where they're coming from, and meet them where they're at. So with Micah, it could have been that he wanted to go into a PhD and maybe become a professor teaching public administration in America or back home. I would have supported him in any endeavor because I think it ultimately just like increases like like the tissue and the muscle that I was saying around the backbone and the fabric, which I believe to be local government of this country. I mean, so putting more people in the workplace, getting them educated, um, giving them the tools and the technical and soft skills that they need to be successful in whatever that they're doing, and making sure that that experience is rewarding and positive ultimately will probably lead to them looking back in some capacity, right? I mean, Stanley, the work that you're doing through your organization, where does that intuition come from? Where does that passion come from, right? It usually comes from a place of getting somewhere in your life where you can look back, you feel comfortable and confident in your own abilities, and you're able to provide that pathway for the next person coming up. So I think it's more of like not what people can gain, it's more of like my responsibility to ensure that that is happening. And if I could offer it in a larger capacity, I would, because I think it's extremely fascinating from an international perspective of people coming from different government structures, interested in this type of industry that's so rewarding, and then giving them the tools that they need, right? I mean, everybody leaves their little mark. I got Micah's picture hanging in my desk right now, from his graduation party. But I am going to get more intentional about posting the success of students, no matter where they come from. But they'll be on our website. They'll be on our village website. I want to take pride in the fact that we're an organization and we're a reflection of Roselle's community, that we welcome everybody, no matter their cultural background. And that's very evident in the civic work that we have done with our board. It's evident in the sister cities commissions that recognize different subsets of population that make up the entirety of the community. So it's fascinating that I can kind of reflect that same ideal in a place that I work. and don't currently reside in, right? So it's such a blessing to be able to do this. And if I could, say anything to other people that are maybe on the fence or considering kind of the pros and cons, if they're really thinking technical about offering international students the opportunity to do internships programs, I would say it's very simple. It's really easy. NIU makes it easy. Other universities make it easy. It comes down to kind of the personal accountability and responsibility of the leadership within the organization to actually meet people where they're at, not just push simple projects to them and treat them like, kind of a cog in the machine. It's really, if you want government to be better, then you have to be active in it. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to, whether you're a civilian or whether you work in the industry.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And that takes me to another question to you directly. So, because I have come to realize that you are so much affiliated, or kind of you have a special affinity for those of us who are international students, and then people from different places. In fact, you are amongst all the white people I have come in contact with. You have actually shown an exceptional uh, connection with people of diverse backgrounds. So, what's and you have actually tried to mentor us, and make us part of you and kind of bring us close to you. So, what drives you to do this?
I'm very happy that you're able to ask this question in this format because I don't get to speak a lot about this at work. But, for me personally, like it stems from my relationship with God and my faith. I mean, I would
Yeah.
not be the person that I am without that. So I have to give the utmost credit to that. And it's been a personal kind of goal of mine, and something that I'm working on to get even closer with my faith and allow that work to reside in me and then emulate outwards. So to me personally,
Yeah.
I feel like that's where most of my success has been with meeting people from different backgrounds or being able to just connect with them is because I'm treating them the same way that my creator treated people when he sent his son here. So I have to say that out loud because it would not be a correct answer if I didn't start with that response. And then on just a personal level, like I just fully believe in just treating people with ultimate kindness. Um, I just think that, one thing I block out the noise, when you sit with people, when you talk with them, I like to sit and I like to listen. I like to understand, um, what people are willing to share. And it's fascinating when you stop talking and you allow somebody to just kind of start talking and you provide a very safe and open environment. It's incredible what you can learn getting to know somebody. So I just feel like I've been blessed kind of with maybe some emotional intelligence or just certain soft skills that allow me to connect with different people and come off kind of warm and welcoming and allow them to kind of like open up and just be themselves and be authentic. But at the same time, I think that work really stems from my faith and I was blessed kind of with that. And I just try to emulate the same kind of golden rules that I've learned my entire life. So
You. Thank you for that. I'm so happy to hear that. In fact, I am kind of being a little bit emotional right now, hearing you saying all of this. I mean, it's kind of takes me back to my biblical saying that whatever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. Just like Christ mentioned in the holy book says, whatever you do unto my brothers, that you do unto me. So that shows that you are actually following God's ways, and then what God has asked us to be our brother's keeper. And then, in fact, these traits of yours is more like the African community, the Nigerian community. In our community, we believe in the communal lifestyle. Where you assist your brother, you try to whatever you have, share with your brother. If it's an opportunity, share with him. That kind of communal lifestyle. is what we live there. And we are also maintaining the same community. We are also maintaining the same lifestyle over here in the US. Even like, for instance, here we have the Nigerian Students Association, and of which Micah is even the president. And we kind of come together once in a while, share things, we share opportunities together, we share our experiences, and we try to grow, like that. So I'm happy to see you speak about that. And like I said, I was a little bit emotional, but then, yeah, I'm happy about that. Thank you so much for that insight.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So, Chooks, Isaiah, I'm coming to you now. So, now that you've completed your master's degree in NIU, what is your next steps? Where do you go from here? You've completed your first master's, I think. So what next?
Okay, I must say that my next step is I'm currently I've already made up my mind to pursue another degree in information management and systems here also at NIU. I have the admission already. And some persons will be asking why I did not pursue PhD. I think like if you are not interested in the academia, there is no need for you, except you want to go. Rarely do you see people studying political science going into the industry. And I feel like the information system management gives me the requisite skill in addition to my critical thinking skill that I've gained from political science to do well in the industry. I want to be in the industry in the nearest future. So I see that as the best pathway for me to actually get to the
Yeah,
industry.
I love that. I love that. A lot of people, most of us, even like for instance, myself, I am always interested in academia. That's why I finished my master's, and I'm going into PhD right now. But then a lot of people would want to be in the industry because that is where the money is. Yeah. Yeah, we have enough money there. Most times people ask me, why are you so much interested in becoming a professor? Do you think you don't want to make money, or don't you know that industry pays you higher or pays you better? But then I used to tell them that in my own personal experience, I have this passion for impacting, passion for teaching and all that. So that is something so it's about passion and not actually about money. But a lot of people have different types of what they want in life. So I am very happy to hear that you really want to be in the industry, and we're looking forward to you to be in the industry and, you know, make the money and use the money to help us. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, Brian, many young people look up to you as a leader. So what message do you have to share with them? A lot of young people out there, we try to we have a lot of challenges, and they look up to people like you who have succeeded in your path, in your career, and in your academic and your professional life. So what message do you have to tell them as they are struggling to be like you?
Well, I would say first and foremost, it's like staying open-minded, staying persistent, staying humble, but being willing to speak. I think like for me, if I reflect even as myself as like a younger version of myself, I was living in like a lot of fear. Um, I was pontificating way too much about outcomes that I couldn't control. And those were spinning around in my head and creating negative affects that prohibited me from just making simple steps forward. So I think once you kind of figure out whatever path you even want to begin, I think it starts with like honing in on what you can control and what you can't, right? And really just being accountable to yourself. Isaiah said this in the beginning of the interview, and I think it's very important. He mentioned the word competitiveness, but what I really see is just remaining focused and diligent to yourself and what you can control and letting go of what you cannot control. I think if you can maintain that type of mindset and you can manage relationships effectively, bring those closer to you that are honest and are willing to support, push those further away that are not at this time of your life the best influence for what you want to do. If you can make those kind of foundational moves, I think you're going to find that those kinds of things become less fearful no matter what it is, whether it's applying for school, whether it's going into an industry, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because you'll remain grounded with yourself. So, and then I think just, maybe the next step too is like seek help and seek mentorship. Nobody does, really good things in life without strong people around them. So don't be afraid to ask questions of people that maybe you click with or you recognize it could be a potential person in your life that could really make a difference. I think a lot of times for me, like I had a hard time, as conversational as I am now, I had a really hard time like asking for help or just even knowing like who I could trust or who I can't. And I probably missed out on a lot of like just really genuine good opportunities that maybe could have helped me maybe consider my career path or just what I wanted to do in life a little bit sooner. I don't say that as a regret. I just say it as something from my own experience that if I had another person in my corner kind of walking me through and telling me these things, it probably would have helped, right? Probably would have made the burdens just more easy to bear, and kept me focused as an individual accountable for myself. So that's probably what I would say for any young person listening to this. And then specific to like local government and just America, if you're considering coming abroad and coming to this country, just know that there are really, really good people. Stanley puts me up on a pedestal. I just feel like I'm just a small minnow in the sea, just kind of doing my job and just kind of trying to live life to the best that I can and just to treat people as kind as possible. So I think like understand that there's a lot of other people around here that want to see someone like yourself take that next step, want to make resources more available, want to make the pathway more smooth, want to kind of help cut through the red tape, want to support you in your development. It just kind of takes the individual to be ready at that time or willing to make that type of leap. And there's nothing wrong with not either. So I just think like do some introspective work, figure out exactly kind of what you're trying to get to in life, reverse engineer that, and then establish the human behavior mechanics that you need to just control things that you can't, or control things that you can and let go things that you can, and get good people around you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. One thing I picked out of, or two things that I picked out of your advice right now is letting the young people out there to remain focused. And then you also talked about mentorship, seek for mentorship. Mentorship is very, very important in the life of every young person. I passed through a lot of people who mentored me. Even as we speak, I'm also passing through mentorship process and I have a lot of people. And you are even one of the people that I'm looking up to for mentorship and all that. So mentorship is very, very important. And that is why even in Edu Afrique, in our Education African Scholars Global Connect, we are trying to establish a mentorship program in the organization right now. Starting from August, we're going to select some people. At the moment, we are doing a scholarship program, and with our portal just closed last week. We had some applicants who submitted application for mentorship, and then our selection committee will start reviewing it probably by next week. And by the time we finish, we are going to select some people that we will offer some financial assistance up to $250 for their application fee. And also, we are looking forward to have a mentorship program whereby we will pair each of the applicants with a mentor who would assist the person in the application process. So we want to pay more attention to this mentorship stuff and to see how we can do that. And with the way we are going to do it now, we are going to pair each applicant with someone in that field. I have Like for instance, in our organization right now, I have a lot of my friends who are scholarship winners, studying masters and PhD in different countries. So since you are there, and maybe for instance, if you are in economics and someone is applying to a master's or PhD in economics, we pair you with that person for you to kind of mentor that person to come into that program. So if you're in, let's say, public administration, we pair you with someone studying a master's or PhD in public administration for the person to mentor you. And at the end of the day, the organization will also pay for your application fee. So this is exactly what we are looking at. This mentorship is something that we've seen. It is very, very important for young people out there to succeed in whatever they are doing. Thank you for that insight, and we appreciate it. All right, so Isaiah, I come to you again. You run a YouTube channel where you also features podcast interviews with some influential guests in the society. So, what inspired you to start this project?
Well, I where I am today is because I had access to information, and I'm trying to use my platform to democratize information and to target young professionals, leaders who are actually, and emerging leaders who are particularly interested in asking questions about purpose, how to navigate leadership, and how to achieve global relevance. So this inspired like the podcast and what I'm doing with the podcast. As you can tell, the people I've invited are people who have already achieved greatness in their various career field and in their various careers. And most of these persons, we see them, I will celebrate them online, but we don't know what the investment of time and resources they have been able to invest to get to where they are. So we are in a society that tend to celebrate the results without actually celebrating the process. I am a process-driven person. I am more interested about someone's process than the person's results. If I start celebrating someone's results, I would like to celebrate the person's process because the process is what bets the results. And what most people do is that they celebrate results instead of celebrating people's process. And I bring people to, like, the last time I had Micah, I've had my professors also come honor my invitation, come to the podcast. You see them talk about what they have done to stand out in their career. And this has gone viral to a point whereby I receive message. There was someone I saw recently, he came all the way from South Africa, and he told me that he saw me on YouTube through my podcast. And I was surprised that I have people in South Africa actually viewing me. I was even thinking that the people that are viewing me are people from Saudi Arabia, consider the audience, Pakistan, Nigeria. I don't know that I even have audience in South Africa. I don't have ODS in Ghana. I have ODS in Kenya. So it amazes me to see people who are already inspired with just few episodes. So through my podcast, what I aim to do is to deliver the message. Your story matters, your voice is valid, and your journey has impact locally and globally. So, and through this, I hope to see that people get inspired, empowered to also achieve their career greatness. When I invited someone like Professor Schroff, who has authored like 6 books and I read and has published over 100 articles. Uh, Even one of my professors back home was surprised that such kind of individual would honor my invitation to sit with me and talk to me. And they were inspired, you understand? And you can see he's a human being, but his humility is what is actually endearing. And I believe that by publishing this kind of episodes, people will be inspired. People will be empowered to actually do great things in their own with themselves.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that insight. So, who are your primary target audience?
Like I have said, my primary audience are young professionals, students, and emerging leaders of particularly in Africa and globally, but mostly in Africa, because when I was doing it, I put myself into, like, I know where I was a few years ago, and I know the things I did to actually get to this place. And one of the things I did to get to this place was going into the internet, especially the YouTube, to come for relevant information that is targeted towards where I'm going into. I know there are people out there who are actually asking questions about their career. I believe that by inviting people across different feeds, these people will be answering these questions without those asking this question, posing it directly to them. So that's why I've invited people from the business background. I've invited people from public administration, invited people from social work. I'm planning to invite people in the field of engineering, in the field of nursing, just to tell us how they are doing it in their field, how they are succeeding it, what they are doing, how to stand out in their field. By doing this way, many people, even so many people, like if people who have watched me maybe many years ago, where I'm coming from, they will not believe that I can host a podcast and interview people. So by even seeing me doing what I'm doing, I know I'm actually inspiring people out there. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And then we hope to see more of, I became very much interested. I'm very happy each time I watch some of your videos. And in fact, to be honest with you, I'm telling you for the first time, it was because of that that inspired me to get you to this our platform today. Because yeah, having seen you host such a magnificent program, and having watched people say insightful things, and um, I was inspired. I said, okay, let me get him to Edu Africa. Let's hear from him here. So thank you for that. And we are very happy. And I'm very, the prayer of a good father is to see his son succeed even more than him. So, and I'm happy. I'm very, very happy seeing, just like there was a day I was with Micah in his car. We were driving, I think we were driving to Chicago that day. And I was like, I told Micah, so Micah, you are not the one driving me.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. because because I know that for 1 year plus I was driving him, and he was always sitting by the side of my car. And then that day I was the one sitting and he was in the driver's seat. And then say, wow, I'm happy to see you drive me. It was very, very interesting, and then I was so happy. So this is something we are looking up to, seeing someone you mentor come out to become a mentor. Seeing your mentee become a mentor is something that makes us to be very happy, and it inspires us, or it motivates me more to do more, having seen that the ones I have done have succeeded. So it makes me to say, okay, since this person has succeeded, others can also succeed. And we keep on giving opportunities for people to come on and strive. Thank you so much for that insight. All right, so coming back to you, Brian, I wanted to know, using Micah's journey as a reference point, so what qualities do you think are very, very essential for some of us, like the international students who are in the US, striving to make a difference through education and service?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
using
yeah,
yeah
Micah
yeah
as a
using
reference. Yeah.
using Micah as a reference point. What do you think? What do you think we should do? To succeed now in our strive to become someone in life through education.
And you're saying, are you asking that from the student perspective? Like what
Yeah, both
student
from
can do?
both. Yeah, of course, both from
Okay.
student perspective and also career wise.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked a lot about it. I think it's again, I think like from a student perspective, like being open-minded and being willing to learn and not afraid to ask questions. I mean, Isaiah's talked a lot about this. Like there's some type of resolve that, without even knowing him, right? basically took his life over and took control of his own life, and then used the resources that were around him to elevate himself and to gain more knowledge into things that interest him, that he could expend, effort into growing those skills and then produce it back towards industry or education or whatever it is. So I think, again, for me, it's if students are watching this and they're wondering about like tangible things they can do, it's like, to me, it's really important to kind of do some self-searching and see what exactly are you looking to do? Like, why does one consider getting out of their country and moving to another country and pursuing higher education, right? There's something in somebody, there's some flame, there's some reason, there's some desire, and whether it's to flee persecution, whether it's to gain more knowledge, whatever that is like, keep that as close as possible to yourself and always remind yourself that, you know yourself the best and you know what you want in life, and you're going to have 1,000 different voices in your head and people telling you whatever and things that you read and you see, but ultimately you're the only one in control of the steps that you take to better your own life. So I just think those are like really easy things to do, in terms of like just starting with like your own self, communicating with yourself, being honest with yourself, and then, you know, try some things out. I just think sometimes like people think that failure is like a bad thing. And I would argue that if you don't fail, if you would say that you don't fail in life, like you're lying. You're lying to yourself and you're missing out 100%, because it I just think through challenges is how we grow. And I think if you remain hungry, motivated, and craving kind of that next challenge, that's where you're gonna probably get fulfillment out of your life. Most of the times in my life where I found myself stagnant or stuck or unsure of what additional route I needed to go or what, that's kind of like my own sign of like, okay, so I'm not being honest with myself and I'm not craving the next thing, or I'm not motivating myself for the next challenge. So what do I need to do? How do I need to reset myself? How do I need to refocus and look at kind of my own path of what I'm trying to accomplish for me and my family, and reverse engineer that and start with some actionable steps. But I think, again, it's just being open-minded, being humble, being hungry, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to be around people that think completely different than you. I just think like nobody in this life gets through it alone. We're not designed to be isolated. We're designed to be together. We're designed to be conversating. We're designed to be arguing and shifting priorities. And I mean, it's just one thing to me is just, again, I think if you can master human behavior, you're going to be successful in anything that you do. So that's my advice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I think we're running off with the session right now, but then before we round off, I think there is a question on this comment section, which I think the question is particularly directed to myself and Isaiah. So the person is trying to know. He said, "How did you break language barriers as a Nigerian who studied outside the shores of our country, being in an environment where your speaking pattern differs?" So I think this person is trying to know how we are able to overcome the accent issue. So Chukwudi, Isaiah, can you give let me hear from you then, and maybe I can add to what you have to say. Isaiah, how were you able to overcome the challenge of trying to get to hear your professors when you get here earlier, and what was happening then and what is happening now?
Well, the first few weeks of my arrival, I couldn't hear some of my professors very well because they were speaking so fast. But I'm someone that was not, who knew that this is going to be a barrier and had to be proactive. I remember telling one of my professors to speak slowly because I was not understanding what she's saying. But one of the good things about NIU is that NIU is an international international student-friendly institution where you will see other international students who have thicker accents and heavier accent than you, people from Asia, people from other continents of the world. And my professor she was calm, like the way she received the feedback made it even easier for me to approach her the next time to tell her. But that she was grateful that I told her that I was not hearing her very well, and she became slower. Then at some point in time, I remember I was also reaching out to you, Stanley, to tell you that sometimes I don't understand what these people are saying. I also reached out to Tochi. Tochi is my senior colleague. She's a PhD candidate currently on her dissertation phase. Tochi told me that it's normal, that I should just calm down, that with time I would acclimatize and get acculturated to the system and I will understand. So basically, you have to be your original self. Don't try to fake it. Don't try to fake the accents. Try to be yourself. Currently, they understand what I'm saying because with time, as you can see, I'm not speaking like a white man. I'm speaking like a Nigerian. I came in here when I'm an old person when I arrived here. I didn't come here in my early 20s. I arrived here in my late 20s. So there was no need for me to actually change my accent, trying to fake it as if I'm watching a Nigerian Nollywood movie. Yeah. So you maintain your originality, and all my professors now understand what I'm saying. And when you arrive here, you have to speak slower too, because they need to understand what you are saying until they get used to your accent. Now, my professors are whatever I'm saying, they understand what I'm saying because they have already gotten used to my accent. But earlier than this, I had to be speaking slowly in order for them to actually understand what I'm saying. Because here, you have to get involved in class by actually contributing. Class contribution actually is a significant. When you get to the system, you understand. But if you don't contribute in class, you will fail any of the courses. So the only way to show a professor that you are studying is to contribute in class. It's not even the assignment you are doing or the exams. They appreciate contribution even more than the assignments and the exams. So I started speaking slowly. And I already made up my mind that I will not change my accent for anything. I want to maintain my original African accent so that whenever I speak, you know this person is African. So that was it.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that. And then in addition to what you said, okay, in my own perspective, I would have to tell you that one of the things, the ways I overcame this is the very moment I finished my undergraduate in 2017 to 2018, I became more interested in watching American movies because I was actually believing that I want to travel abroad after my undergraduate. So because of that, I said, since I'm going to travel abroad, I'm going to meet a lot of white people there. I'm going to meet different people there. So it's better I start watching their movies now. Because before then, I was more of watching Nigerian movies. I'm always in Nollywood. I'm always good in watching Nollywood. But then I finished and then I started watching foreign movies. Because of that, I started learning, getting used to their accent and all that. So before coming to the US already, I kind of have I can relate very well with a white person. Then coming to the US and coming to the class, just like Isaiah said, one of the things I did then was to ask my professors to, if you want to put a group assignment, don't pair me with an African like me. Pair me with a white person. With that, I am kind of learning from the person, and the person is kind of learning from me. So my ability to connect with someone with a white is something I was eager, I was intentional about it. I was intentional to work with the whites than to work with my fellow Africans, especially in assignments, because with that we would have exchange of words, we have exchange of ideas. Then he will be able to hear from me and I will be able to hear from him. Even if he doesn't hear well, I will try to explain myself very well. And even if he doesn't hear me well, I will have to explain also. So this is one of the ways. And then another way that I was able to overcome it is constant participation in activities like attending conferences, attending online classes and all that. In fact, the thing is this, when you come to America, just be open-minded and try to mix with the white people. With that, you will be able, even if you are not so good in that, you will be able to mix up and naturally you will learn it. Just like Isaiah said, it's not about, you don't need to come and start trying to fake it or trying to force yourself. You can't force it because you weren't born an American. You were born as a Nigerian and you grew up, you had your better years in Nigeria before coming to US. So coming here and trying to, force yourself, it's not something you do by force, it's something you learn gradually and from there you build. So the person that asked this question, who's Samuel, I think, yeah, Samuel is a Nigerian and he's from my tribe, from the name that I just mentioned now. So I'm sure that you'll be striving to come here. So when you come here, try to mix up, try to attend programs. And now that you are, even if you are still in Nigeria, now that you are still in Nigeria, start watching American movies. And then you will overcome it. I'm telling you out of my own personal experience. I was watching more of African, foreign movies then, and then it helped me. But then, just like Chuk said, you don't need to fake it. Be yourself. Don't speak fast. Speak. Just start speaking and try to speak the correct. After all, in Nigeria, English is our is our medium of communication in Nigeria. So there is every typical Nigerian here, there's no Nigerian that cannot speak English because starting from our nursery school, primary school, secondary school, and university, we were taught in English language. We have never been taught in our local language. So because of that, since we already have the background, since we already know how to speak English, the only thing we need to do now is how we can communicate it well so that the other person who doesn't understand your accent will actually get your point. So it's a very nice thing for you to mix up whenever you come here. And now that you're preparing to come here, start associating yourself with the whites through watching of their movies and all that. Okay, so finally, Brian, I want to ask you to, in conclusion, just in few minutes, what are your last words? What are your final advice generally for the young people out there?
Yeah, just say, stay true to yourself, stay authentic, stay honest, be open-minded, and treat people with kindness, no matter where you're at. If you emulate those things, I think no matter what, and just don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think in this type of life, especially in America, it's extremely fast-paced. It can be extremely stressful if you let things get to you. So just kind of slowing down and just enjoy the ride. Like, I don't know what the audience is in terms of age, but I mean, life goes quick. I got a young son now. He turns 1 in 26 days.
Wow, congratulations.
I just say enjoy like life, like you're never gonna be a kid again. So just take that experience for what it is too. I think sometimes we maybe put too much pressure or look at kind of like Isaiah was saying, the outputs of what we do is kind of the success. And I think life is a ride and it should be a fun one, I like to have fun as much as I like to work very hard. So
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for that advice. Um, Isaiah, so what's your final word of advice, encouragement to the young people?
What I would tell the youth constituency is that first, you need to have faith in yourself. You need to believe God. I know we have people across faiths, those who doesn't even believe God, but those who are, I'm a Christian, and I will, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, I want you to actually believe God. Have faith in yourself, believe you can do it, be kind, and be ready to ask questions. Ask if you see someone that is going towards your direction. There is someone already doing what you are aiming to do. Reach out to that person if you can. And don't, and now, for example, before I got to the US, I stopped doing a paid job, not because I am not getting paid job, but that paid job was not leading me the right direction. So I had to give up paid job to unpaid job that was leading me to the direction I wanted to go. So you have to make some sacrifices. And part of that sacrifice is sometimes you have to give up. You don't need to be money focused. You need to learn before you start earning.
Yeah.
And if you decide to earn before learning, you are actually uh, leading yourself to destruction because it will not be sustainable. But when you learn before you earn, whatever you earn will be sustainable.
Exactly.
You understand? So if you give me an opportunity to apply for another admission now, it will not be as difficult as it was the last time I applied, because I've been able to pay the price to learn the process now. So now that you are learning, people may likely mock you, people may likely laugh at you, but you know where you are going to. It may not be a popular decision, but if you are convinced that the decision you are making is leading you to the right direction, insist on your decision. And don't look at people who are actually succeeding with the eyes of competition and envy. Look at them with the eyes to learn from them.
Yes, exactly.
You understand? Your mates, all of us have mates, but permit me to say that some of our mates are not our grace mates. And when you understand that your mates, okay, I write here with Micah the same day. Micah already has a fellowship. Micah is an exceptional individual. As you can see, I've been praising Micah. The qualities I've observed through him. But some people I don't know, if you're arrogant, may think this is a weakness, but I think that is strength. To be able to acknowledge that this person has what you don't have. And I'm of the opinion that what you celebrate is what you attract. And if you don't celebrate good qualities in people, because some people tend to criticize their mates when they start doing better than them. And you understand it, and that's the spirit of envy, and it will lead you nowhere. So I don't know who is actually hearing me. Make sure that you focus on yourself. While focusing on yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to everybody, and be honest. Trust me, your breakthrough is just around the corner. Thank you once again, Stanley, for having me, and your entire team member.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that last word of advice. I mean, it was apt. You give those advice to the young people out there. Just like what we said earlier, mentorship is very important. Looking up, seeing someone as a role model is something that helps you so much. Just like someone like me, whenever, like as I am now, I'm politically motivated, and I'm looking forward to someday seeing myself in a political position, either in Nigeria or any other place. And one person that I admire so much is political. This thing is Peter Obi. Toby is one person that I admire so much, and I say I want to. If I get to become a politician, I would like to be a politician like this because of his way of his honesty, his natural being. I mean, the man is just his natural self. He doesn't lie. I mean, he's always honest, and whenever he's making analysis with empirical facts and all that. And if you verify, you see that whatever he has said is actually the truth. And these are the things I give that an example because we as young people, if you are growing up, you should look at someone as a role model. And that is why even in our organization, Education African Scholars, just like I mentioned before, we are looking forward to have this mentorship program where we pair people according to their area of expertise. So if you're studying political science, we pair you with someone who is studying a master's or PhD in political science for mentorship. Looking forward to have you learn from that person and not envy that person, because if you envy, it will not take you to anywhere. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you, Brian, for honoring this invitation. Our audience are very happy to see you. And one of the when I posted the flyer for this, one of the comments that someone asked me, say, "Wow, how do you get these big people to come to your program?" I said, "Well, it's the Lord's doing." Yeah. So, and the person said, "Oh, because you is a white person, I'm going to be there. I want to learn from him." So I told him that Education African Scholars Global Connect is a global program, is a global organization that have both white, black, Hispanic, anywhere you are from, you can come to our platform to come and speak. So I told the person that very soon we are going to get someone from China to come speak. So so thank you so much for being part of what we are doing, for your inspiring stories. I believe a lot of people have learned a lot, and we look forward to having you subsequently. At least I think another major program we're going to have is the International Education Week celebration coming up in November. Yeah, so we usually have that program, and we bring people. It's kind of a panel discussion. So we might like to have you again on that call. But as time goes on, we will discuss more about it. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. And we look forward to further conversation with you guys. Thank you. And may God bless you all for coming.